Hey, so one of the issues that we have around the Austin area with our southern variety of turf grass are shade issues. So I'm referring to Bermuda, zoysia, even St. Augustine. They are sun-loving turf grass varieties. They will tolerate shade depending on the variety to a point. So Bermuda tolerates it different than St. Augustine. I'm going to go over how to help this, which varieties are more susceptible to it. So first off, if you are wondering if you do have a shade issue, the best thing to do is look at your area in the morning and midday. So that morning sun's very critical. The midday sun is the most critical. So if you're underneath a large, thick oak tree or some type of tree, and you just have bare dirt underneath there, you definitely have a shade issue. If you can't quite tell and you go out in the morning and your house, a tree or something in the neighbor is blocking all that morning sunlight, you can start to have issues depending on the afternoon situation. But that morning is critical, and so is the midday. So first off, with a Bermuda lawn, Bermuda tolerates shade the least. It doesn't like it very well. It needs a good 7-8 hours of direct sunlight to be nice and healthy. It prefers sunlight. You'll see Bermuda thin as your trees grow, or if you resod underneath a tree, it'll start to thin over the years. You can tell your problem is growing. One of the best ways to mitigate this is to just not try to grow Bermuda in the shade. I've been doing this for many years. I was in the golf industry for a long time. There's no ways around shade issues. There are things that you could spray on there that maybe help tolerate it slightly more, but for me, my expertise, it is not worth the cost. Just don't grow it in the shade. I'll go over what you can do instead of the Bermuda after I get through the other turf varieties. So I see a lot of people around Austin planting zoysia because the Bermuda didn't make it or your St. Augustine didn't make it. Zoysia is a great turf grass. I enjoy it. I've got it in my lawn along with some Bermuda as well. I've got both. Zoysia will tolerate shade better than Bermuda, but it still doesn't like it. So it may be okay with 6-7 hours of direct sunlight or more. As soon as it starts getting less than that, you're going to start running into issues. And then St. Augustine is going to be our more shade tolerant than the others. It still doesn't like it. You will see I've seen some really heavy shade areas, and their St. Augustine is thriving. There are a couple varieties called Amerishade, and I don't know the others. I don't think they're even still around anymore, that tolerate shade pretty well. I think the Amerishade is around 4 hours of sunlight, and it could be broken sunlight and it'll survive. And it is hard to get a hold of from the turf grass farms, but it does do pretty well for the shade, but it still doesn't like it. It doesn't prefer it. All of our southern varieties or warm season grasses, they want the sun. And I know St. Augustine can be hard because in the summer, direct sunlight with our water restrictions, it doesn't do well. That's why you're seeing St. Augustine not be very popular anymore. A lot of neighborhood HOAs don't even allow it, and I would never recommend it as well because it does require more water and it requires it more often. So sometimes 2 to 3 times a week it needs it, depending on our weather. And I don't know anybody in the Austin area that can water more than once a week, so I don't recommend the St. Augustine for those reasons. So what do you do about the issues that you have if you have them? So if you have something like zoysia or St. Augustine, one of the things that you can do is to raise the height of your mowing. If you're mowing at 2 to 3 inches, I would go ahead and raise that to 3 or more. Zoysia is not going to like this as well. St. Augustine will. It'll do a lot better with a higher mowing height of like 3.5 inches. And what this is doing is giving you more of a leaf blade, so that leaf blade can take in more sunlight. So if that takes in more sunlight, then it's able to survive better and be a healthier plant. So if you have all that turf under your tree with longer leaf blades, it will be able to take in more sunlight and thrive a little bit better. If that is not an option, if you have a mowing company that won't mow taller or something like that, you may struggle with the issues, but that is really the best thing to do with those two varieties on having a little bit better shade tolerance. Now the big thing is what do you do if you just can't grow anything there? If you have mulch rings around your trees, expand them, make them bigger. Those should grow with your tree canopy over the years anyways. This is why I'm not a fan of any type of stone border around the tree, because one, your tree roots eventually will grow and snap those, and two, that ring needs to expand. So, but for this reason specifically, because you're not going to grow a lot of grass underneath the tree. So your mulch area, whether it's actually hardwood mulch or rock, needs to grow with that tree, so those areas will expand. If you don't have those, go ahead and install them, put mulch underneath there. If you have really large areas with a bunch of trees, best thing to do is create planting beds underneath all that and plant plants that will tolerate the shade. There are a good variety around here of plants that will tolerate all that shade, and you can have a nice landscape underneath there. And don't worry about trying to grow grass under there. It's not worth it. Now the other one is, can help. It doesn't always, it just kind of depends on your trees. And this is a tree issue, is to thin out your trees to allow more sunlight to come through. This is something we did in the golf industry all the time, because grass is huge on a golf course. Mulch areas aren't as favorable, so we tried to thin out the trees to get more sunlight down in there and try to grow some grass. It's a temporary solution. Doesn't allow a whole lot through doing that sunlight, so it's not always the best, but it is a tool that you can use to prolong the life of your turf up underneath there. Now if you're looking at something like between your house and your fence, it just never sees the sun, and you don't want mulch there. Those are big areas to put river rock or some type of stone to where it's permanent. You don't have to water it. You just keep the weeds out, and that will help keep erosion down. You just don't want bare soil anywhere, because that erosion becomes a problem, and that is always really bad no matter what, for your house, for the environment. We just want to mitigate erosion, because we are the ones that strip the land to put our house there. So we want something in place. You can't always have plants or grass. Sometimes that river rock is a good solution. That's what we recommend in those areas, sides of houses that you don't want plants there, you don't want mulch, because it's just not a good fit for it. So that river rock makes the best option. So this is the trade-off. As your trees grow, we will have less turf area. It's just how it goes with these warm season turf grasses. They're just not shade loving, and we just have to work with what's there and accept that, you know, we may not have as much room on the grass. The worst option is to cut down trees. That's normally never recommended unless they're posing an actual hazard, whether it's to your house or vehicles or pedestrians. That's really the only reason. Those trees add a lot of value to your home. They do shade a large area, so they can actually keep your house cool, cooler. Our summers are never going to be cool, but they can help keep everything cooler. Even if they're not casting a shadow on your house, they are cooling the soil around your house, which will help with radiant heat and keep your house cooler as well. If y'all have any questions, always let us know. And if you need help with any of your turf grass needs, give us a call and we can get you on the schedule and take care of all your home lawn. Thanks a lot.